Hi,
Aber jetzt will ich ja gerne mal einen super Effekt haben. Mega.
sehr gut.
Hi.
Das
Hallo.
ist abgehakt, aber
Autohaus. Ich weiß gar nicht, wo ich bin. Autohof irgendwo.
ja, sehr passend. Roadtrip zum Roadtrip.
Ja, ich habe sogar die Kamera hier. Falls hier irgendjemand sehen will. Hallo, da sind ja liebe Leute. Das ist ja nett. Wir warten einfach wahrscheinlich eine Minute oder so.
Würde ich auch sagen.
Dann kann ich mich akklimatisieren. Ja. Und ich kann gerade mal den Hund zeigen, der ist ja auch da.
Hallo.
Der war auch Buddy. Hat keinen Bock auf mich, ist zu warm.
Keine Nähe.
Kannst du einschätzen, ob das ist there an English speaking crowd or I can't really see. Ich kann nicht genau sehen, wer da ist.
Auch nicht so richtig.
London, New York. Guck mal, Cedric, der Hund ist auch da.
Also die mir bekannt sind, waren bisher alle deutschsprachig.
Ja, Cedric ist auch deutschsprachig. Steffen Müller, Deutsch. Yvonne Statione, Deutsch. If somebody wants us, kannst du das in den Comments schreiben? Oder ich schreibe selbst rein. If someone wants us to let us. Kannst du diesen Rumi-Spruch mal vorlesen? Weil das war eben so schnell. Ich habe das vor. Flora, meine Cousine. Hallo, Flora. Ich habe ja vorhin noch mal ganz viele Leute so extra eingeladen. Guck mal, wo wir sind. Das passt. Ich bin nämlich auf dem Weg zum Fußballspiel, lustigerweise. HSV gegen Hertha.
Okay.
Anna, wo bist du denn gerade? Ich bin gerade auf der Autobahn zwischen Berlin und Hamburg. Irgendwo da, wo ich um 18:15 Uhr ranfahren konnte und dachte, ich habe genug Empfang. Hallo Nora, Achim ist da, mein Bruder. Schluss. Der ist gerade, der macht auch gerade einen Roadtrip und zwar durch Spanien. Axel, das ist schön. Axel, ich habe einen Hund. Nein, das wissen wir ja. Das freut mich sehr, dass Axel da ist. Hast du noch 2 Minuten? Okay, Amor. Was soll ich sagen? Hab Spaß in Spanien. Pass auf dich auf und fahr nach Toledo. Toledo. Wegen Achim besitze ich einen Seat, weil mein kleiner Bruder hat auch einen Seat. Und ich kann ihn nur empfehlen. Den Inhalt des Fotoraums zeige ich jetzt nicht. Anja. Na, jetzt können wir loslegen.
Ja, jetzt kommen wir.
Also mach einfach, wann du willst. Das ist.
Ja,
Du bist in Toledo. Achim ist in Toledo. Wie geil. Da musst du aufpassen. Aber bei deinem Achims Auto ist schon rechts und links angeschraubt. Da kann in Toledo nicht mehr viel passieren.
Okay, bei einem ist nichts zu sehen.
Und Anna Claire ist da. Anna Claire, ich gehe heute zum HSV gegen Hertha spielen. Funny that. Anna Claire war nämlich gestern mit mir in der Jury vom ADC und dann sind wir zum Training mal kurz gelaufen vom HSV. Und Ende vom Lied ist, dass ich heute tatsächlich zum Spiel gehe. Mit einem Freund aus New York. Und da muss ich sehr an Anna Claire denken, als es tatsächlich geklappt hat. Und meine Brille ist immer noch die ohne Bügel, aber mit.
Ja, ich würde sagen, wir uns einfach schon mal Hallo sagen.
Genau, sag du mal Hallo. Und du
Genau.
fragst die Fragen, ich antworte so gut ich kann.
Genau, schön, dass ihr da seid. Ich sage noch mal kurz was zum Format. Das kennen wahrscheinlich nicht alle. Name des Programms. Sobald ich hier sage, los, haben wir 15 Minuten. Dann hören wir auf, egal wo wir gerade stehen geblieben sind. Ich sage so ganz, ganz knapp was zu dir, weil ich glaube, die Leute, die einschalten, wissen größtenteils wer du bist.
Glaube ich nicht.
Die wissen es nicht wissen. Aber ansonsten würde ich ja sagen, wir leben zu Zeiten des World Wide Web. Anna hat eine tolle Website, sie hat Instagram und Google weiß sowieso alles.
Bin ich Anna Christina Bauer, die gibt es nämlich auch. Und die ist auch Fotografin. Da entferne ich mich ein bisschen.
Nur Anna Bauer.
Genau.
So, habe ich jetzt noch irgendwas Wichtiges vergessen?
Tara! Okay, now we have to switch to English. I think everybody who is in this chat can speak English because my best friend from New York is fluent.
Okay, so it's speak English.
Hi Tara, I love you.
Okay, so questions. Leave them here in the comments. Comments are better in the question function. There's like a small bubble with a question mark in it. If you write your questions there, I can see them later on. If you write them in the comments, it's possible that I don't get it or something, and then the question is gone. Okay, this will be pretty long.
Man kann dich nicht richtig gut hören gerade.
Hmm?
I can't really hear you, just as a feedback, as a.
Oh, okay.
Now it's better. A little closer, a little better. Now it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay, so just some words about you. Oh yeah, and the 15 minutes start now. I'll go quick. So you're a photographer, obviously. You do a lot of things, portrait, fashion, editorial, but also, as you can see, as one can see on your website, there are more documentary, free projects, personal projects. You have, of course, your book, the Backstage book.
Yes. Brian! We're speaking for you and Tara. Sorry.
Okay, you're back in Germany, based in Berlin, but you lived in New York before, if I got that right.
Yes, for 14 years.
Yeah. Okay, and now I would say Google her.
Yeah, and I'm not based in Berlin, I'm based in Brandenburg, proudly so. I hate
okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Thank you for correcting that.
That's fine, it's just been a week. Later, Tara, later, once I have a visa.
Okay, so now to save some time or give you the time to talk about your work, I will switch cameras.
Ooh.
And let you talk about your road trip.
So basically, I used to live in New York, moved back. I didn't live in Germany for 17 years, moved back to Germany in July 19 and was in New York for a job March of 2020. Flew back and started living in Berlin, which is not that fun with the lockdown, starting a new city that you don't really love anyways. And then 2 years forward, a friend asked me to photograph his wedding in Palm Springs. And I flew there thinking I'm only going to stay 5 days. And then I felt so good being back in the States that I decided to do a road trip. The Ukraine was going mad, everything was crazy. And I thought, why not? Why not look at the country that makes me feel like myself, that I don't feel weird in. Because when I lived in New York, I would fly everywhere or to a lot of places for jobs, but I never did a road trip cross country. And then I did. I rented a car, adopted this wonderful being 3 days in. There he is. Where is he? There he is. Wow, that was the longest he's ever looked at the camera. And bought some film, and that was tricky because they would only sell you 2 rolls of film per person in LA. And due to me wearing a Guns N' Roses t-shirt, I got 20 rolls of film. And I think anybody who shoots analog right now knows that it's really hard to get film. It's really hard to come by film.
Yeah.
And then I started driving. I thought I would do this whole thing in 10 days, just across the road. Just crossing the states like a straight line, because I missed New York so much. But then I had the dog, and the adventures started happening. So I went into Mexico. The border shut down. We didn't come back. I mean, a lot of weird stuff happened, and I had those 25 rolls of film, 5 from Germany, and started pretty much in LA already asking people if I can take their portrait. And it's something I would never do in Germany, I think. And I had never done. I was never like a street photographer. I love Lee Friedlander. I love Robert Frank, all these guys. And so I think I kind of connected with them innerly, and it worked. And I had coffee with a Hamburg-based photographer the morning I started the road trip in LA, which was funny. And Cecil up, and he has done a lot of road tripping. And he said, just go off-road. And I think that motivated me or inspired me to just take my time.
Yeah.
And once I started asking people, it was really easy. And the picture we're seeing is not one of those where I stopped somebody. It's one of those that are more related to Lee Friedlander, because in Lee Friedlander's books or photos, you can see his back mirror a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, I incorporated that.
Yeah.
And that photo reminds me also of Stephen Shore.
Mm-hmm.
So the color from Stephen Shore, the mood from Stephen Shore, but the technique. Stephen Shore is not a very spontaneous photographer, or maybe not anymore. But it really made me connect to a different time and the spirit, and it actually did explain to me the trip why I love the States. Because when you travel and when you drive, and Eggleston, of course, and you just have space. You drive for hours, you drive slower. Truck drivers are not aggressive. You get on a highway and they make room for you. Oh, he's bored. Look at that. And it's more of a with each other over there in every sense. And the picture we're seeing right now is almost like a sneaky picture, and it took a while for me to do those as well. Cedric, yes. And it helped with prejudices to do this trip, because what we think in Germany about Texas, for example, they all built the wall, which I hear here a lot. It's like, nope, they didn't. And people on a common or in the daily life, I would say, were so friendly and welcoming, and it was so easy to travel with the dog. I thought it would be a disadvantage. Not at all. He actually made me talk to more people and stop more. He loves water. Anyways, back to photography. I shot 57 rolls of film, got them developed in New York and got them scanned, just low-res scans. And that photo up there was photographed in Texas, actually, very close to Vidor, Texas, which is KKK land.
Wow.
And I don't know if anybody knows the movie Three Billboards in Missouri.
Yeah.
Those billboards are there. I took a picture of those billboards and then spoke to people at the dog park, and they explained to me that the movie is based on these billboards that I had photographed, and that I'm a highly racist part of the country, where in 2005, the male friend of one of the women I spoke to, who was black, wouldn't get served at a Waffle House, which is basically like a Bäckerei.
Yeah.
And that's shocking. And it still exists. But on the other hand, there's also things like a small, tiny, colored woman taking care of a very big 93-year-old white male. And I saw them and I thought of Robert Frank's photograph of the nanny with the baby. And I thought, oh, maybe things didn't change. And then I took their photo. It's not here. And it turned out that she was so proud of working with him and making him walk again. And so what you see, especially in images, is not necessarily what is true. I'm pretty sure if I would show that photo of a tiny black woman actually, taking care of an older white man in Mississippi, especially in the times of Black Lives Matter, and we just had a shooting again, people would think, if they just saw the photo, oh, of course. And it's not like that. She was so proud to make him walk again. And I think that's what I learned most, is that speaking to people, photographing them, I think not one person said no. That things are never really the way you might think they are. And I think with imagery as a photographer, you have to be really, really careful how you use them. So I learned that as well. How many minutes do we have left?
If I want to ask questions, you have like 1 minute left.
Okay, so I'm going to say something about that photo up there. She was this beautiful, beautiful woman who wants to join the army. And I had a couple of encounters with young women wanting to join the army. And of course, at first I thought, oh, another woman was 23, white. And I was like, oh yeah, of course, she comes from a military family. Not at all. She was so clear about why she wanted to join the army, and that the army isn't great, but she had her reasons. And I learned so much. And what I learned also is that people in the States, they reinvent themselves. And if something doesn't work out, they go somewhere else. And I'm like a wandering circus myself. So being in an apartment in Berlin is just not my thing. Yes, and then I met them. I met them the night before I adopted him.
Oh, wow, okay.
Took those photos. And then I drove back towards LA to get this tattoo, which means one should give. And adopted him. So 2 days later, I was at the same gas station again, or that burger joint where we had met on a Friday, and they were there again.
Wow.
They had gone to a Kundalini retreat to figure out their relationship. And you could tell, like, he had softened up. And when I said bye to them the first day, it's like, I think you should marry this woman. And he froze. I was like, oh, and she was just like, yeah, I know. And they came back, and we're basically friends now. He even said, which was so sweet at one point on Instagram, he said that I inspire him. And that's the biggest honor, I think.
Wow, yeah,
a strong man like himself, color or not, to say, I like what you do and I like how you do it. And that gives me a lot of strength, because in Germany I kind of sometimes my way of being is not that accepted.
Okay. I really want to know the stars to the picture, so maybe I'll just ask one question.
Can you read the line?
Yeah, where there is ruin, there's hope for the treasure.
Yeah, Umi. So that was in San Bernardino, where I adopted the dog, more or less, in the mountains. There were advertisements, so you just see one picture, but there were the pictures changed. So it was advertisement for somebody doing real estate. Then it was advertisement for a lake where you can go swimming. Then it was advertising for the local dentist. And then there was Rumi. That was one quote. And I meditate, even though you might think I don't, but I do. And I love that. I love that there's a mix of Rumi and your local dentist and buy a lake property. Yeah. And that also reflects for me how the States are. And I know there's so many issues in the States, but it's very easy from a European point of view to say, oh, they all voted for Trump, blah, blah, blah. No, they didn't. And not even in Texas. And I was so shocked to come back to Germany and speak to my brother-in-law and to family friend who are both doctors. So highly, I would say highly studied.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, people in Texas were so lovely and so kind and so nice. Yeah, but they built the wall. I was like, huh, really? Did they? And I drove along that wall. It's a scary fucking wall because I got stuck in Mexico, couldn't come back because they locked in Calexico.
Mm-hmm.
They locked the border at 10 p.m.
Wow.
And I had crossed into Mexico being adventurous to try to sleep there and couldn't find a hotel. And it felt really shady. Now I know why it felt shady, because it's like drug city, basically. And that's why they closed the border. And then I had to drive along the border on the Mexican side to St. Louis, Arizona as a joint, and then come back into the States. And that border was open and my car got searched because I was in the wrong lane, which wasn't too troublesome, but driving along that wall at like 10:30 p.m. in Mexico, seeing that Colorado River and that steel wall makes you really humble, because you realize what people take on to get a better living, to get a better life, I guess, or to try to have a better life. And I think that's the spirit of the States. Also, when people would say, oh, my great-great-grandfather is German. I was like, well, he probably left Germany for a reason.
Yeah.
He's not in Germany anymore. And that's why you live in the States and you are open-minded. And being back in Germany has been extremely difficult in April, especially with the dog, where people in Berlin, just this Sunday, another dog owner said, fuck you, bitch, to me.
What?
Yeah. And then I said, well, please call me rich bitch. And if we're already speaking about that, maybe you can give me the number of your plastic surgeon, because if I'm a rich bitch, I might need your plastic surgeon's phone number. So she basically had a dog and said my dog was aggressive towards her dog. They were completely peaceful. And then she said, you don't know anything about dogs. I've had a dog for 10 years. And all I said was, well, poor dog. And then I was the bitch. Fuck you, bitch. From a rich Charlottenburg woman. And I was like, wow. The proletariat comes in all colors and sizes. And it's very sad. And I don't want to be arguing with somebody about my dog at 10 a.m. on a sunny Sunday. It wasn't even raining. It wasn't even gray Berlin. It was a fucking sunny Sunday. And in the States, there was not one, I mean, look at him. Hi, he's smiling. There was not one negative comment about the dog. I could let him run around in a bar. It was crazy. Boring interview. Martin, just go away. Might not be your thing, but it's my thing. Anyways, yeah. So Rumi, did we have another photo? Oh, hello, hola.
Let me see. I think there was another one, no? Then you sent 5.
Maybe Martin really loves Germany. That's why he's offended by me speaking. Tara,
Maybe.
I want to smoke a cigarette with you so badly right now. I started smoking, by the way.
I'll switch the camera shortly to see, so everybody doesn't have to see my laptop.
I would love to know why Martin thinks it's boring. It's really easy to write boring interview and not say why. Oh, no, Martin is not an Anna. Tara, I know. Martin is Martin.
Okay, no, there was no further picture.
No.
Okay.
Oh, Martin is just kidding. Martin is funny. Martin is funny.
Okay. I mean, the time's over. Already 2 minutes.
I have to get to a soccer game. Better, Martin. Yeah, now we love Martin. Martin, have a drink with Sarah in Brooklyn.
Okay, well.
Ich habe ist schon vorbei.
Ja, ist schon
am
vorbei.
Tag.
Ich habe jetzt keine Frage gestellt, aber das ist okay. Du hast so viele spannende Sachen erzählt.
Ja, und ich werde auch, I'm gonna post more images of that trip on Instagram. I haven't actually looked at all the images yet. It's like 1,500 photos, but I was busy with other things and I thought the road trip took a while. Why not take my time as well with looking at the photos? So I'm gonna look at them little by little, and I'm very excited about them. Yes, Anja, we have to do. Well, we can do a talk. Anja. We can do like a talk in the King Coda. We can do a talk in the Freundeskreis der Fotografie or wherever at the school. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
let's do longer.
With like a slideshow because there's so many stories as well, life stories. People tell me things. Because Tara.
Well, thank you, Anna. The time is really, really
Thank
over.
you. No,
Yeah.
it's great. It's perfect. It's perfect. We have to keep going.
Okay. Have a nice trip. Fun
Thank
game.
you.
Right?
Thank you all for coming.